Hello, we're here.
hello. How are we doing, Maxie? We got an entrance reel this week. At the beginning.
You mean?
With a tear in my eye, this is the greatest moment in my life.
There we go.
I'm there trying to mix it up, keep it fresh and entertaining, and sounds like, no, I want that intro music exactly at the beginning.
I fear change.
That is very, very true. How are you, sir?
Well, as I was saying before we pressed the little go button, Rags, I'm feeling wiped out, mate. I got no idea what's wrong with me. I've been feeling like it for the last few days. It's just
rough as a badger's arse.
Yeah, well, no, I'm not even rough. I'm just tired all the time. I sit down. Sharon will say in the chat, I sit down for 2 minutes. I'm falling asleep in the chair, and this can be 11 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I was doing it about 8:30 this evening, just sat there dozing. I don't know what's wrong with me, mate. So I've got my energy drink. It's not the normal one this week, so I don't know how that's going to work. I've got my energy drink.
He's on the rock star this time.
I've given myself
on the hard stuff.
I've slapped myself in the mush a few times, and I'm desperate to try and sort myself out, mate. Sort myself out, because we've got a bumper edition of Chain Wrestling live to come this evening, haven't we?
I mean, these bumper episodes just keep coming thick and fast. Absolutely. Every week seems like it's a historical episode. I mean, we had the amazing the Halloween episode, which was so much fun. We had last week with the Montreal Screwjob, where we went way over time. And then this week, we've got the first ever proper draw in the poll. So, absolutely
well, second.
Amazing.
We've had a draw before. We had one draw before, didn't we?
Okay, but I mean, on Chain Wrestling Live then.
Oh, since we went live. Oh, yeah. Yeah, since we went live, yeah. Speaking of which, mate, in general, it's like our year anniversary in a couple of weeks. We've been doing this for a year. 20
episodes of Chain Wrestling Live as well.
Yeah.
So just hit after hit after hit. It's amazing.
We'll have to do so, considering, like, we had episode 50 come and go and neither of us noticed. We'll have to.
I mean, we do that many podcasts between us that it's hard to remember how many episodes we've actually done.
Yeah, we'll have to do something special for the year. We'll have to sort of discuss things behind the scenes and see what we can come up with.
I can always break out the mask and the hat again.
What, how much you bitched about it last time? Anyway, for the benefit of all our glorious listeners on the podcast audio version, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever and whenever you may be listening or indeed watching from. This is Chain Wrestling Live with Mags and Sai, a Radio Taggers production. I am the really oddly tired, sleepy Sai. It's driving me nuts. And with me, as always, is the over the top rope to my being a sleepy dope, the rumble in Chai Town to my want my dressing gown and some Horlicks and my bed and just to settle down, I think. A podcaster who will openly encourage 29 other people to check out his total package. The podfather himself, Lord Mags. How are we doing, sir?
I'm doing absolutely fine, full of energy, so I'll be the energy for both of us. You don't strike me as the dressing gown type, to be fair.
To be honest, I said I put dressing gown in there purely because it rhymed with what worked for the intro. I did have a dressing gown. I think it was not last Christmas, the Christmas before. The wife bought me a dressing gown, and it was the one that was like Rocky, the thing that Rocky wore to the ring. But it was dressing gown
black and gold.
Yeah, that's the one. So I wore it Christmas Day, and it was all right. And I haven't seen it since. Well, no, that's not true. I've seen it on the wife. Yeah. I've not, it's basically just been adopted by her now. So
it was a gift for her from you, essentially.
I think it was actually a gift for me, but very quickly she realised, oh, this is quite cozy.
This is too good for Sam.
Yeah, that bastard. He's only going to spill beer and pasty on it or something, isn't he?
Spilled pasta. You've got pastry stains in this dressing gown again.
Yeah, Rocky never got pastry all down himself, did he? Look at the guy.
Just drool.
Just drool, yeah. How's your week been there, Mags? You right?
Yeah, not too bad. Been quite busy in terms of podcasting. You had the amazing Scottish Danny. Recorded an episode with him. He's filled in for Tanner and Ori on a changing attitude. So, UFC was on pretty late, so that was a tiring effort. But we get a week off this week, so I'll be doing some extra content for that. But yeah, other than that, it's been fun. Did you watch Survivor Series?
See, yesterday I went to bed around 6:30. I was literally sat downstairs. I got back from Oh mate, I got back from our daughter's football, and I'm sat there. I'm going like that in the chair again. You know, which again, me doing that works really, really well on the audio version, doesn't it? But you know, yeah. But I'm dozing off in the chair again. So I end up saying to Sharon that I'm going to bed for a couple of hours because this is ridiculous. I'm just falling asleep. And I don't feel ill. I feel like there's nothing wrong with me. And right now, because I'm talking to you and I'm buzzing because we're live and so on, I feel fine. Quarter of an hour ago, I was wiped out. I don't know what it is. But anyway, yeah, I went to bed about 6:30. Woke up again about 9:30. Went downstairs. Basically said to Sharon, "I ain't getting up. I'm going back to bed again." Went back to bed. Woke up just as Survivor Series started. So I put it on my laptop. Watched the first match on my laptop in bed. And then woke up again just as Roman Reigns was coming to the ring. And then I was up till around 6, 7 again, I suppose. So
that's a weird sleep pattern.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on, mate. I don't know what's going on at all.
Well, I didn't watch it. It seems like it's not been a bad card in terms of matches. Some shenanigans with the egg from Red Notice, I believe. But yeah, I think I'll end up catching it. It sounds like it was an entertaining show.
What I saw was good, from what I remember. Reigns, Big E was quite good. Becky, Charlotte was quite good. But then everyone has been saying that those two matches either end of the show were quite good. I slept through the middle part, so I can offer no further opinion. So
brilliant. Shall we go to the chat then? See who's knocking about from the Chain Wrestling family. We've got Sharon. Starting the day off, it's Monday night. You know what that means. Absolutely. Dan Griffin, evening party people. Young Charlie in the chat may want to kind of duck out later on when we get to the joke section because I've got a feeling it's going to be quite lewd. Dan in the chat saying, "I do at Sharon. It means complete chaos and fuckery." And again, I'm not wearing a hat. I was not born with a hat. I was not born with bubbly chocolate. They are changing up sometimes. Dan is also having a go at your old age, and he's telling you that energy drinks will not work. They just make you tired but faster. That's very, very true. It's
just natural now for me to have. Normally, I have the ginger beer flavored one, and it's kind of like I'm very. Sharon will say in the chat, and she'll take the mick out of me, no doubt. I'm very much a creature of habit. So the first live show we did, it went well. I had a ginger beer monster. So every week I do it. Now I've got to have one of those. So this week they didn't have it in the shop. Oh yeah, mate, I'm ridiculous like that. I'm it's so silly. They didn't have one in the shop this week, so I got this funny fruit flavored thingy. So something's bound to go wrong.
Don't put that evil on us, Ricky Bobby. Don't put that evil on us. Going back to the chat, we've got Scottish Danny. Just mentioned him in saying evening. And it was good to chat with you yesterday. He's had such a great time with him. We were talking about Survivor Series 1996 for an upcoming drop of a changing attitude. Yeah, it was such good fun.
Good show. He's changing attitude and Survivor Series 96, both good shows.
He's actually coming back again this weekend to cover the Raw after as well with us, so that'll be fun. And then we're getting a bit of self-Dan love with the two Dans chatting away with each other. Connor joins the chat. He's joined just at the time when we're talking about spilling pastry. He's saying, "Do not waste class food."
Because that happens. Sorry, Maxie, to interrupt. That does happen quite often. You get people who join a bit late, or they lose their signal and they come back, and some of the conversations they drop into must be the most random things ever. They leave, we're talking about the Royal Rumble, and they come back and we're talking about the Chuckle Brothers potentially being nonsense or something.
Allegedly. Sharon's saying that she's got Liv's dressing gown now, so you can have yours back. Sharon, here's a novel thought. It's thinking a bit outside the box, but you could get your own dressing gown. That is an option.
The thing is, she's got so many blankets, and she's got one of those. Have you seen the advert for this? I think it's called is it Oodie? Where it's basically like it looks like a dog's bed with a couple of holes cut in it, right? Okay. And it's basically a blanket, but with a hood and like arm bits. So you wear the whole blanket. So you wrap yourself up in the blanket, but you can still put your arms through and do stuff. And then she's got another blanket and another blanket. And my wife just disappears into this massive fabric in the corner of the room. You know,
just pops her head out every now and again. Yeah. I'll have a brew.
The only way I know she's there is
back under.
The only way I definitely know she's there is when you hear, and then the puff from the vape comes out. You know,
out of the one armhole that's free.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Dan saying, so you got up to tell Sharon that you weren't going to get up.
Yes.
Yeah, that's fair. And he says you've got the sleepy corona. I think he has. I think he's got an illness.
I'm gonna have to do that, and I do a freaking test, man. I hate them tests because they make the thing that makes me gag, man.
I mean, the one up your nose, that's horrible. Yeah, I don't like it. We've got to book our booster jabs very, very soon because we're old, and that's the thing that has to happen. Connor saying, getting your own, what stupid idea is that, Mags? Getting my own what?
Dressing gown.
All right, okay, fair.
Yeah.
I lost track then. Because Sharon says that Liv has got her dressing gown. So you've got Liv's dressing gown. Liv's got your dressing gown. You've got Sar's dressing gown, and Sar's got no dressing gown.
I've got no dressing gowns. I just sit there cold, shivering in the corner.
The dynamic in your household is out of whack, sir.
Yeah, it's strange, mate. It's strange.
You need to start putting your foot down. Sharon snuggled. Dan says Sharon snuggled up like a nestling hamster.
Yeah.
And then final one for now. Con McCabe. Hello. Hello, Mags and Sar. Hello, Connor. Yeah, we always appreciate you popping in from the other side of the pond, sir. How's your day going?
Definitely. Yeah, so there we go. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Like we said, we've got a big bumper episode coming because the poll was a draw. We've got 2 wrestling matches to look at. It's from very different eras, 2 very different matches. And we've got a brilliant non-wrestling topic as well that I hope will raise a few giggles. Totally Mags' idea. And it's great because last week's non-wrestling topic was very much a case of what makes you grumpy, what annoys you. And this is the other side of the coin, I guess. What makes you smile, what makes you laugh, tell us a joke. Absolutely brilliant. So
essentially the idea around it was we've had a few kind of pretty serious topics recently on a couple of other podcasts that I'm involved in. We've been talking serious about wrestling journalism and stuff like that. So I thought we need something to lighten up the mood, and the Chair Wrestling family did not disappoint. Some cracking jokes, but I am going to have to keep with the seriousness for a little bit because it's not been cracked out for a while, but I have got a pimple dick for this week.
Pimple dick alert!
Oh, a teeny weeny.
And actually, it's more than one pimple dick this time.
Yes.
So there's no beating around the bush with this. It's I might as well just get straight into it. During the pay-per-view Survivor Series, I think it was announced that the WWE and the Special Olympics have announced this huge global partnership extension. WWE have worked with the Special Olympics for a number of years now, really kind of like to help promote the Special Olympics and really kind of get that in the mainstream media. And I thought it's a great move, but wrestling Twitter sometimes you just have to be dicks, don't you? They just can't help themselves. Yeah, and I'm not saying that people have to like everything that the WWE has done. You may not enjoy the wrestling, you may not like what they've done with the talent, you may not like their business practices. That's absolutely fine. I am not here to tell you what wrestling you should and should not enjoy. It's a buffet, as UTT Rob says on the regular. You watch what you enjoy. But when you see a company the size of WWE doing some promotion with the Special Olympics, there's no flip side to that. There's no kind of ulterior motive. But with wrestling Twitter, they just have to show their evil side over and over again. So Sean Ross Sapp, he put it on his Twitter, and some of the replies are fucking horrific, absolutely horrific. Comparing the writers to people with special needs, comparing some of the wrestlers to people with special needs. Basically saying that this was just another reason for WWE to release people. It's just horrific. I'm not going to focus on any one name in particular. If you want to go and search out this post and give these people shit, that's on you. But it got to the point where Sean was replying to some of these people with just unfollow me, because Sean is. He can be testy at sometimes. I think he's one of the most accurate journalists out there. He normally does great work in like double checking and triple checking his sources. But on Twitter, he's a regular guy. He gets testy, he gets aggravated, and he can be quite bitchy with some people. That's his prerogative. But he for me, in this situation, he's such a stand-up guy that people who follow him and who are subscribed to Fightful Select been making these ridiculous these comments, and he's called them out on it, and I've got to give him props for that. But if you take this promotion of the Special Olympics as a way to shit on the WWE for things that are not involved in this, you are a pimple dick, and you deserve to be called out as such.
I 100% agree, Mugsy. It's just everything that is wrong with wrestling Twitter, isn't it? It's just people trying to be vile for the sake of being vile, trying to be. I don't know if people think this is funny. I don't know if people think they're being clever. I don't know. And it again comes back to that sort of tribalism, I guess, doesn't it? Where there's a group of people that hate on AEW, there's a group of people that hate on WWE, and they do it for whatever reason. I don't know. They're just morons. And it says a lot, I think, how disgusting some of these comments and some of these people are, that this is the pimple dick for this week. When you look at potential competition for this spot with, the idiots, the complete dipshit that is DJ Storms raising his head again this week, and Brad Shepard is the standard piece of crap that Brad Shepard is, that they didn't make it this week. But don't get me wrong, those two people are complete fucking idiots. But these people responding here, it's just like, what the hell is wrong with this? What the hell is wrong with these people?
I mean, wrestling has always been a very niche entertainment field. There's always people who look down on wrestling, and there was a post I saw today from someone quite big in the wrestling community, and they commented about Survivor Series, and the amount of people who don't watch wrestling and saying, "Oh, why do you watch it? You all know it's fake." We get all that all the time.
Yeah.
So to cannibalize our own kind of macro community by doing stupid shit like this is a way to promote all of wrestling, that wrestling can do good things, but instead it's used to mock, and it's used to not only mock WWE, who have got thick skin. These comments won't annoy them. It's the way that they've compared people to the very people who WWE are trying to promote. It's disgusting. It's not the take that you think you're doing. You're not being clever. You're not being edgy. You're not being getting clout. You're just showing yourself to be an absolute tosspot. So all the people who commented and all the people who even think like this, you may not say it out loud, but if you have these kind of thoughts in your head, you are a pimple dick.
Yeah, 100%, mate. 100%. just absolute scumbags. And I'm very fortunate. Well, I don't say I'm very fortunate. I think we're very lucky and blessed, I suppose. I know it sounds a bit cheesy. I think of American TV shows all the time. Like, oh, I'm so blessed and all that sort of crap. But I think we are blessed in that our community.
Blessed.
Yeah, is our little group of people, like the CWF, as seems to be the name that we're running with. Just a fantastic group of people, and we won't tolerate nonsense or fools or any kind of stupidity. I mean, if somebody joins, everyone's welcome with us. Of course they are. But if you behave a certain way, you ain't gonna last long. And I think that's great that we have those people.
Yeah, absolutely.
In our little corner of this kind of putrid world, I suppose.
Yeah, totally agree. And pretty much unanimous all the way across the board with the chat. I'm not going to read through them all because it's going to end up winding me up. But just know that we are so glad that you all feel like this way, and we're so glad that you're involved with us. We appreciate you every single time. Dean Bragg in the chat. Hi guys. Hello, Dean. Hello, Dean. Hope you're enjoying the show, sir. But yeah, essentially, if you think that WWE partnering with Special Olympics was an opening to dunk on the company and use special needs as a way to attack, then you need to grow up. It's as simple and clear as that.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
Now I'm off my soapbox. Shall we actually have a little bit of fun now?
Yes, let's very quickly before we move on. And I don't want to sort of chastise anyone in particular or anything like that, but just a quick word. There are, shall we say, younger ears and younger eyes that watch our show, listen to our show, and so on. Some of them are related to me, some of them are not. So yes, okay. Magsy and I, we use some colourful language in the chat. There's sometimes colourful language. There's certain topics that maybe aren't suitable for some of the younger eyes and ears. But it is the way it is, and I appreciate that, and everyone's aware of what's going on. I will say, though, just for the benefit of everyone in the chat and anywhere else that's relevant, try and steer clear of using the C word, please, if we can. Okay? I mean, it popped up earlier on. Let's just try and avoid that. My daughter's in there. Come on. Okay. Okie doke. Maxie, tell us a joke. That was what we had, wasn't it?
Yeah, like I said, we've had some serious topics over the last few weeks, and I thought let's see the best and worst jokes that the CWF can come up with.
Yeah, we'll start with a couple of the worst. First of all, we had Craig from Pro Wrestling Musings at Craig Pro Wrestling Musings. He said Burnley Football Club, Mags.
I know, scumbag.
And we had at Carbon_Robert saying Manchester United.
I mean, just the attacks on our
having
teams.
Having a go at us. I can see. Sorry, very quick. I can see there's someone posted in the chat now saying, "I do apologize. Don't worry about it. It's all cool. It's all good. No problem at all." Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we're going to ignore the Burnley and the Man United comments, even though Man United are a laughing stock right now. But I'm allowed to say it. I'm a United fan. Everyone else can kiss my ass.
And Burnley about 3 or 4 weeks ago was certainly a laughing stock. Right now, I think they're actually not doing too bad. So
fair enough.
Stick that in your pipe and smoke it.
I think we need to ban football from this show, Magsy. You know, I think there should be a football 3 zone. Do you know what I mean?
Football 3 zone.
Yeah, I can't. Oh, why don't? Because this is, if my dad's listening, he'll be roaring with laughter at you right now. You know, because he's my whole life he's mocked me because I can't say TH. I can't do that. You know, I always say it with an F. So that's where it comes out. This way it does.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, I don't think we should be a football 3 zone because it adds to the content, and I get to rib you.
Oh, yeah, I suppose. We'll be all right, mate. We'll be all right. You know, big. Everyone keeps saying we're a big club and that, don't they? So, okay. So where should we start? I'll tell you what, we'll do what we always do, shall we? I don't know why I say where should we start, because I always start in the same place, the very beginning. The order in which these tweets came in to us, and we've also got a couple of a couple of DMs and something from Instagram this week, Magsy, which I'll jump to at the end.
Christ.
I know, first ever time, mate.
Before we crack on with it, Dean is asking Mrs. P if he can ask the guys anything. I mean, I didn't realise Sharon had become our manager and agent, but I'll happily let her take on the wheel.
Sharon's our mod this week.
Yeah, Sharon's the mod.
I don't mean like she listens to the Who and rides a scooter and shit. I mean she's like the moderator, you know.
Yeah, Dean, by all means, join in the chat, ask questions, chuck us some jokes that can get read out. Yeah, absolutely a pleasure to have you joining in.
No worries. First tweet in we had was from the Good Cop Bad Cop Wrestling Podcast at Good Bad Wrestle on Twitter. He says, my contribution to wrestling this might have been a DM actually, Magsy. Sorry, bud. Yes, it's far too long to be a tweet. It was a DM. I'm so sorry.
Brilliant.
Oh my goodness. He says, there was a primary school class. The teacher says to give them a sentence with the word contagious in it.
Okay.
Kid 1, the measles are contagious. Teacher says, yeah, good. He approves. Kid 2, my grandma is quarantining right now as she is contagious. Teacher says, very good. Very good. Good choice. Good use of the word. Kid 3 says, my neighbor is painting the outside of his house with a 2-inch paintbrush. And my dad says it will take the...
And after you ban the word...
I've just literally said, yeah, let's not just watch the scene. Oh, my God. Okay.
Brilliant.
That's quite good.
Brilliant. Maybe you should next time read the jokes beforehand.
See, that's the thing. I literally scanned them, screenshotted them, because I thought it's better if I read them out whilst we're, and then because it might make me laugh as much as everyone else. So I've not really read them yet.
Do as I say, not as I do. So you guys can't use that word, but
I didn't.
It's fair game.
I said contagious, mate. As in, it's not anything else. I apologise, Connor, for being so two-faced.
but MGB Graham, that was a great joke.
Yeah, and he has one more. What has 2 legs and bleeds? Half a dog.
Oh Jesus, that's got dark quick.
Yeah, that's bad. Oh, our good buddy Chris, good friend of the show at MillWalkers1 on Twitter, who I think made his podcast debut on Bang Bang this morning, I believe.
Yeah. Was it his debut? I don't know if it was debut. I listened.
I think they said something about his debut.
But he clearly lives in a palace because the echo coming from that huge room that he was in. Yeah, it was a great episode. Bang Bang. As always, part of the Monday Morning Wars with UTT. James from that wrestling, that 90s wrestling podcast, he was on UTT and he said he had a thing about 3 count from the old WCW days, so that was interesting. And then Andy Andy got pissed up to the point where he just went on a mad rant at the end, praising us. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed the praise, but he was levered.
By us, I've not listened to it yet. I've got to the part where he runs through all of, and this was fantastic. He runs through all of Big Show, Paul White's turns, like heel to face, and so on. That's
why it's 2 hours long.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I was listening to it on the way home from work, so that's why I kind of stopped. Because I got to the end of the driveway, so that was that. So
at the end, Chris has to nip into the penthouse for a slash. So he's got about 20 minutes to fill, and he just praises the community that we built up between all the podcasters, and now we've become like a really kind of close-knit group.
Yeah, that's good. Yes, okay. So Millwall Chris, he says, "Oh, Magsy, I've lost it. Hang on a sec. What am I doing? Pressing the wrong stuff, mate. Pressing the wrong stuff. There we go. What's red and invisible? No tomatoes." That's terrible, that is.
It's a classic, as Benny replied. It is a classic.
Oh, I don't know about that, mate. I don't know about that. At Scottish Danny, good friend of the show, singing in the shower is fun until you get soap in your mouth, and then it's a soap opera. Oh dear, that's not good either, mate. That's a
letdown.
Oh dear me. We got a few come in from Dan Griffin, good friend of the show, at Dan Griffin 21 on Twitter. He says, I don't trust stairs. They're always up to something. I quite like that. Why can't you trust an atom? Because they make up everything.
Wow.
These are bad, but they're making me laugh. They're getting me, these, Maxie. They're good. What did the drummer call his twin daughters? Anna 1, Anna 2.
That's tickled me every single time I've read it because it's so cheesy. It's good.
Oh dear. That's the thing though, these cheesy, silly dad jokes, I guess, the bad jokes, the horrible sort of one-liner sort of efforts. That's what gets me laughing. That's what tickles me because they're also stupid, you know?
Yeah, that one was daft. Dean's in the chat. He said he wanted to ask a question, and yeah, I don't know if we'll be able to answer it for you, but we can try. Said, guys, Yoxuna was his favourite, and his dad. Can I hug him when I die and see him in heaven? If you believe in that stuff, then absolutely you can.
Need long arms, wouldn't you? Because he's a big old fellow, isn't he?
I mean, he may need to hug you, but yeah, you can certainly hug him if you die. It depends if you've been good and you go to the same place that he went to.
That's it. I like Joe because, you know, he was great.
Yeah.
You know, for a big, like that run he had with the world title around WrestleMania 10 and sort of, what was that, 93 going into 94?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was, for a guy his size, he couldn't have moved, couldn't he?
It was not that good on Survivor Series 1996, though, to be fair.
No, because he got even bigger by then, hadn't he?
Oh, he was a big bloke.
Yeah, that's it. Dan Griffin continues. I made a pencil with 2 erasers. It was pointless.
Ba-bum. I should have really got that sound effect ready.
Yeah. See, that's how professional we are. We've known literally, normally the non-wrestling topics, sometimes it can be a day or two before the show. Oh, we'll do this. Yeah, no worries. This has been a whole week and we've not prepared anything.
Yeah, pretty much.
We are shocking. Hey, Chris at Chris_BFC on Twitter _.
No, you're going to need the accent for this one.
I can't do that, mate. I can't do that. Can you do that?
Not that I know of.
Okay, cool. Glad we cleared that up.
Well, you're the reader outer.
I'm the reader outer. Is that my professional title? That's what I should have put. And instead of like my Twitter handle now, I should say reader outer. Yeah. A German couple walks into a bar. The man says to the bartender, 2 martinis, please. The bartender says, dry. The man says, 9. I said 2. Oh, that's not good.
After you laughed at it, brilliant.
Yeah, that's it, mate. Shrek5 on Twitter at Shrek is all right is his handle. Somebody I don't think we've had a message in from before, Magsy. If we have, I've missed it. I do apologize. So it's good to hear from somebody new there. He says a prominent sperm donor was supposed to show up at a clinic to donate, but never showed up. When doctors asked why he didn't show, he couldn't provide a logical answer. He simply replied, I'm just not coming anymore. It's so bad. It's terrible. I don't know.
It's that bad. It is actually quite funny.
But the thing is, there's a couple of things I got to pick apart with this. First of all, a prominent sperm donor. What do you have to do? Do you have to get like a loyalty card tick so many times to reach that level, or how does that work?
You get a stamp, and then every 5 deposits, your 6th deposit is free.
Right. And he's obviously that prominent because the doctors are giving him a message or a text, or perhaps they got him on WhatsApp, I don't know, asking why he hadn't turned up to jerk off.
I mean, how many kids has he got knocking around the local area?
Oh. Could you ever do that? If you're really, you get paid for that, don't you, Magsy?
I've never even looked into it. Do you?
Okay, so what if you believe what happened on Friends? Yeah. I think it was Friends, right?
That true to life show where everybody lives in a massive apartment
and everybody's white.
Oh,
they are though. Think about it, mate. Think about it. Yeah, they really are. It's a very racist part of America.
Central Park, Jesus.
Was it on there? Or was it somewhere else? It might not even have been Friends. We might have just gone down this tangent for no reason. But anyway, there was some TV show where they obviously get paid for being a sperm donor. If you were absolutely on your arse and had no money at all, Would you consider that? Because I find it really difficult knowing that there was kids out there, effectively in my DNA. I was effectively their dad, you know.
Yeah, get your what's it called? I can't remember the name. Your child benefit or whatever paid out.
Yeah. No, I don't know, man. I don't know. Kicking it with Connor at Kicking Soccer on Twitter. He says here, a guy walks into the bar. He goes to the bartender and asks, how much are drinks? Bartender replies, 2 cans a pop. So the guy reaches into his bag and pours out 2 cans of pop. Bartender says, what is this? The man replies, you said drinks were 2 cans of pop. I've missed something, haven't I? I don't get that.
I don't get that one. I think that may be an American thing. I mean,
okay.
I get what the 2 cans a pop means per drinker, but is cans is that like short for $1, something like that? That's a poor joke, Connor. You should be ashamed of that.
It might be a really good joke, and we're just dense.
Yeah. Back to that is also very much an option. Back to the drawing board on that one, Connor, sir.
Yeah, okay. Rob at UTT Rob on Twitter, good friend of the show. He says, my dad's favorite joke that he's done every Christmas since the film Batteries Not Included was released is wrap up a random box with some batteries in it and a note saying toy not included.
The dedication to keep with that joke for what must be now 30 years. That's brilliant.
My first thought when I read that was, I'm stealing that. That's brilliant. But at the same time, it's that thing now of it ain't going to work because my kids haven't seen that film because they're younger. And there's no chance they're going to watch that film. No chance at all. My kids won't even watch Die Hard, you know? So get them to watch something like that. They ain't going to watch that. So it's a complete waste of time, isn't it?
But it's a brilliant joke.
Yeah, I really liked it. Well done to UTT Senior. We have here Burn Gamer at Burn the Gamer on Twitter. I believe this is somebody else new to the show, Magsy, which is fantastic. It's a new Twitter handle, I believe. I'm not sure if I've read that one out before. He says here, how come you can't hear rabbits going at it? Because they've got cotton balls.
Wow. And he even added a GIF just to nail it.
Oh my
Brilliant.
goodness. Oh. Good friend Matt Willis at the Matt Attack UK on Twitter has sent us some jokes here via WhatsApp, Mags, so you won't find them on there, my friend. There's a few, so I'm literally just going to fire through them quick. Okay. He says, some jokes for chain wrestling. What do you call a boomerang that won't come back? A stick. What does a cloud wear under its raincoat? Thunderwear. Okay, I like that. That's right. 2 pickles fell out of a jar onto the floor. What did one say to the other? Deal with it. I think I've just been put in a giggly mood now.
I'm meant to be doing the volley with Matt straight after this. After those jokes, I may leave him to die on his own sword for that. They were horrific jokes. Horrific.
Oh, we're not done. We're not done.
Oh, and look who joins us in the chat as well. Takes a bow.
Hello, Matt.
Bow.
Good evening, my friend.
Wow.
He continues. What time is it when the clock strikes 13? Time to get a new clock. How does a cucumber become a pickle? It goes through a jarring experience. No, I like that one. That's good. What did one toilet say to the other? You look a bit flushed. No, I'm not having that one.
Where have you got all these jokes from, Matt? These sound like from the Ladybird book of first ever jokes.
Perhaps that's why I'm laughing so much. They're on my level. Where did I get to? You look a bit flushed. What do you think of that new diner on the moon? Food was good, but really there wasn't much atmosphere. Why did the dinosaur cross the road? Because the chicken wasn't born yet. I'm not having that one. Why can't Elsa from Frozen have a balloon? Because she will let it go, let it go. These are so terrible. What musical instrument is found in the bathroom? A tube of toothpaste. That's shocking, man. Oh dear.
I think we should put Matt in timeout. He's not allowed to send any more replies into the non-wrestling topic of the week for a month.
A month. Oh, that's a long time, mate, isn't it?
Ray Cash here in the chat. I had to jump on just to tell Matt how absolutely horrid those jokes are, and you are right to do so because they were bad.
They made me laugh a bit, some of them. And we've got here from Instagram, Mags, @chain_wrestling on Instagram. The first ever sent in on Instagram, even though we've had Instagram for the best part of a year. So it's a big moment, but at the same time also shows how much of a shambles some of our social medias are. Or I suppose all down to me. This was told to my sister, Hayes Jen Powell, on Instagram by a 5-year-old at work. And she doesn't work, but she works with kids at school. It's not like 5-year-olds are doing grown-up jobs.
She's running a sweatshop.
Yeah, she's like down the mine sending the kids. Hayes says here, why does the little youngster, said to my sister, why does a duck have feathers? To cover their bum quacks.
How are you so tickled by that?
I just laugh every time I read it. That one I've read a few times, and it just gets me to cover their bum quacks. That's good. That's good, Max. You're just a grump, you are.
It was funny, but yeah. Next.
Well, that's all I've got, mate. That's all I've got.
Okay, so have you got any jokes?
Well, before we do, I've had a message from my wife to say, can I show this on the camera for Dan? So if I just bring this up, I don't know if we can make that out.
I mean, it would have totally been easy to just... Is that, say, baby batter on a spatula?
Yes.
Oh, Jesus. Jesus.
So
brilliant.
I believe that is something they've been discussing in the chat, which makes me wonder what is the conversation between Dan and my wife.
I thought I'd seen it come up, but yeah, Jesus Christ.
We have one more from Matt Willis. It's just arrived into us now. It says, what is the difference between black eyed peas and chickpeas? Black eyed peas can sing us a song. Chickpeas can only hum us one. That's all right as well,
That's
right as well.
Quite clever. That's quite clever. We've got some in the chat as well. Dan Griffin, what do you call a bathroom superhero? Flush Gordon.
Oh dear.
Ray, what is the difference between people in Dubai and people in Abu Dhabi? Is that people in Dubai don't like the Flintstones, and those in Abu Dhabi do.
That's good as well. I'm stealing that one. Well, I say that I'm blatantly going to forget it within 10 minutes, but if I can remember it, I'm telling that one at work.
And the classic one from FIFA Connor, we might as well throw this in. I have a joke, Manchester United.
Anyway.
He's just ruined it. Sano sold it.
Oh no, man! I'm used to it now, mate. I'm used to it. I lived through an absolutely fantastic period. I was fortunate enough to be of a certain age through a wonderful time frame for that football club. If we don't win anything again, of course I'm going to be disappointed. However, I had a fantastic 15, 20, 25 years. So is what it is what it is. Okay, well, I think we've got one here from Dan Griffin on Twitter as well. Just come in. Why did the seaman cross the road? Because I put the wrong socks on this morning.
That's a brilliant one. That's absolutely brilliant.
For goodness sake. Oh, dear me. Oh, Magsy, have you got any there yourself, my friend?
Yeah, I've got a few that I keep under my hat. So we've got a woman is taking a shower, comes out, gives her husband a cheeky little wink, and goes to him, "I've shaved down there. Do you know what that means?" And he sighs, looks at her, and says, "Too right, I do. It means the drain's blocked again, doesn't it?" Then, I mean, I'm not going to... I mean, we've had some horrific jokes. Oh, wow. What do you call a fake lord? This is Matt Willis. Anyone but bags. Yeah, that's true, because I am actually a genuine lord. Oh, Dan, seriously. What's the difference between a chickpea and a lentil? I've never had a lentil on me. Oh, brutal.
Oh man,
brutal.
This whole episode, when it comes to the audio version, it's basically just going to be me or you starting a sentence and then me just sniggering like an idiot. I'm gonna have to do some serious editing to make the audio version actually worth listening to at this rate.
So I'll go with my kind of my go-to joke. So HMS Victory comes into port, and all the seamen and all the personnel get a day's shore leave. So 3 of these sailors all gather together and go, let's go and hit the town and see what we can do with our 24 hours. And between them, seamen being who they are, they decide to hit up a local brothel. So they all go to this brothel and they see a menu on the wall, and all it's got is 3 prices, no explanations or anything. So there's a £10 selection, a £20 selection, and a £50 selection. So the first sailor goes in, says, I'm going to take the £10 selection. So he goes in, comes back out, massive smile on his face. So the other 2 salesmen saying, go on, tell us what happened. He said, oh, so I went in, laid down on this bed. Woman comes in, gets a can of squirty cream, covers my dick all in the squirty cream, and then proceeds to lick it all off. Said it was brilliant. So the second sailor goes in, goes, if that were that good, I'm going to go for the £20 one. So he pays his £20, comes out, even bigger smile than the first one, like really pleased as punch. So he goes in. The other 2 sailors goes, what did you get? What did you get for your £20? Said, so went in, laid on this bed. This woman comes in, squirty cream, hundreds and thousands, cherry on top, proceeds to lick it all off. He's like, oh my God, that was amazing. So the third one goes in, because if they've had such a good time with their £10 and £20 one, I'm definitely going for the 50 quid one. Pays his 50 quid, comes out, face like thunder, really, really disappointed. And the other 2 sailors are, what's happened? Was it a bad time? He went, no, I laid on the bed. She comes in, covers me dick in whipped cream, puts on hundreds of thousands, cherry on top, then covers it in pineapple rings, chocolate sauce, the works. Said, that sounds amazing. Why didn't you enjoy it? Said, it looked so delicious, I ate it myself.
Bloody hell, Mags. Oh, see, I ain't got an email. And Matt Willis kind of, the last one he sent in was from a Twitter handle. And I actually had the idea of getting a couple off here and reading them out at random. One of them was the hummus joke he sent in, funnily enough. So I'm just literally going to scan through. It is at Dad Says Jokes on Twitter. I've followed them for a while. They're quite funny. I'm just going to scroll through now and grab a couple at random. Maybe I should clean mirrors for a living. It's something I can really see myself doing. Let me have a look. How did Bilbo survive the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy? Because old habits die hard. Old hobbits die hard. I fucked that one up, didn't I? Sorry, I'll edit it out. Dear. I put my phone under my pillow last night. When I woke up, it was gone, and there was a £1 coin in its place. It was the Bluetooth fairy.
Wow.
I think I'm going to leave it there, Magsy, because some of these are absolutely shockingly awful. But it's raised a smile from me, mate. I hope it's raised a smile from everyone in the chat and everyone listening out there as well. Hopefully so.
Yep, and there's still some jokes coming through in the chat. I'm not particularly happy with the boos and the crickets that I got for my joke, but you obviously don't appreciate good comedy. So, but Dan Griffin, why do Swedish boats have barcodes so they can scan the navy in?
Oh dear.
Oof. And Matt, a sales associate, walks into his job, his interview for a job for IKEA. The manager says, "Come in, make a seat."
That's good. I like that.
That's the best, Matt. You've pulled it out in the clutch. You're allowed to stay now after
Redeemed
that
yourself,
one.
my friend.
Yeah, that was a good
Redeemed
one.
yourself. So thank you so much to everybody in the chat and everybody on Twitter and Instagram, I guess, even though it was my sister. Does that really count? I guess it does.
It all counts here.
It all counts. Thank you so much for that. Our non-wrestling topic is out every single week on all of our social medias, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and that TikTok thingamy at @chain_wrestling on every single one, purely because it makes it so easy for me to remember.
Correct.
Maxie, shall we talk a little wrestling now?
Wow, we're actually getting into it a little bit early this time.
We are.
But it's because we've got two to cover. So let's
get ready to rumble!
Okay, so the poll was won by no one or both of us, whichever way you want to look at it. I guess we had a draw for the second time ever, and yeah, how did Lex Luger get votes? Says Connor. Not voting for Luger, my friend. We're not voting for Luger. We're voting for the masterful performance by the awesome Mr. Barry Windham. I'll tell you that. Okay, we'll get to that in a moment. Mags, where do you want to start then, bud? Your selection was Royal Rumble 98. We had Luger Windham from 89 up against it. Either or.
Let's get the shit out of the way.
Rumble then, yeah?
Yeah, the Shartown Rumble.
Okie doke. The selection from myself that drew with Magsie's Rumble choice was Lex Luger versus Barry Windham for the NWA United States Championship at the Chi-Town Rumble 1989 pay-per-view. When I chose this one, the reason I put it forward was because I've been talking online about Luger. I've been talking online about Barry Windham. I like early Luger. Don't get me wrong. I play this very much tongue-in-cheek. I know he's not a particularly talented individual at any stage in his career. But 87, 88, 89, he was surrounded by some talented individuals. And he could go to a degree. And the people around him, I think, carried him to a great match. I think as shown by, in my opinion, one of the most underrated performers of all time, Barry Windham, in this match here, Mags.
Yeah, I mean, I rag on you for your fascination with Lex Luger, but for me, he's like the Sid that we're watching on a Change Attitude right now. Not the very best worker at all, but he could get the crowd invested, and that's how I see, like I said, 88, 89 Luger. Yeah, he's not a brilliant wrestler, very basic, very rudimentary, but the crowd loved him. And if you have enough great workers around you, anybody can have a fairly passable match. And that's where it kind of like draw them comparisons with Psycho Sid. But I actually didn't hate this match. I went in to watch it with all intents and purposes of absolutely shitting on it. But,
cheers, mate. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it's Luger. It's the done thing, but it was short. That's a good thing that it had going for it, because it didn't kind of outstay its welcome. But it was a fun watch. It was like I said, Barry Windham, we are very kind of underrated in terms of wrestling fans nowadays, but he was a massive star. Really good wrestler, and he shows that he can certainly lead an average opponent to a decent match.
Yeah, and the reason I chose this match primarily was because it was the match with the highest ratings from between these two individuals, because I wanted to lump the two together as kind of a tongue-in-cheek joke at the conversations I've been having online. Obviously, I'd seen this before. Late 80s NWA is kind of my wheelhouse, I guess, and I don't think there's a pay-per-view or show they put on that I've not watched at least once. This pay-per-view itself is famous for a couple of other matches, really. The main event being one, Flair Steamboat, one of the trilogy. And I think they sort of had a few time restraints going into this towards the end of the show. There seems to be a few issues here. Windham and Luger don't get on-screen introductions, which is strange because it's the United States Championship, and this is back when the United States Championship really, really meant something, kids. It's not just a funky, thick piece of metal that somebody carries around on SmackDown nowadays or Raw or wherever it is. Back in '89, this championship really meant something. It was very, very important.
It meant you was primed to be future world champion.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, the theory being, and it didn't always work out this way, but the theory being that if you were United States champion, you were actually the number one contender for the world title.
Yeah.
You didn't always get your shot, granted, but that's the way, that's how prestigious this championship was. So you had people like, I mean, Dusty Rhodes is the best example, world champion, dropping down and winning the United States Championship. Harley Race did it as well in the late 70s when he was, picking up world titles left, right, and center. He had one or two short, brief runs with the United States Championship to elevate himself back into the main event picture again. Luger had world title matches because of his standing in the United States Championship division, for want of a better term. And Windham himself, he was United States champion, which led to world title matches. And Flair, I think, did it later on. He had United States title runs before his world title runs started. And then much, much later in his career, had another United States title run, but slightly different circumstances. Again, it's a quick match. It's only just over 10 minutes, Max, isn't it? But I think we really get to see how bloody fantastic Barry Windham is. Just in this 10 minutes. I think he's superb.
Yeah. I mean, the blading was pretty obvious, but it was unique. But yeah, this is Barry Windham, like I said, leading a dance, and it showed just how good of a wrestler that he actually was. We even get points where the commentary is saying that Luger's broke out a new move in this, and the new move was a sleeper hold.
Yes, because he's a technical, magician,
genius,
isn't he?
Yeah. But the match was fast-paced, brutal, but yeah, it was a fun match to watch. You see Luger doing some acrobatics, doing the leapfrog a couple of times, but it quickly goes to the outside, and then you see that Luger gets a cut over his around his eye. Windham punches the ring post and blades his hand, which is it's not something I've ever seen. I thought that's a really kind of like interesting take on blading. Obviously, you usually see blading to be like the forehead or somewhere where you're going to get a lot of blood and it looks dramatic. But the point of him hitting the post with his hand and then blading his hand to make it look like he'd broken his fingers, and every time he was throwing a punch, he was kind of wincing in pain. Yeah. It was such good storytelling, really good storytelling. When he tries to go for the claw and he can't really kind of get the power into it because of this broken hand. I thought that Windham did a brilliant job in telling a story in such a short match.
Yeah, I think that's the main takeaway I have from this match. It's very much the Windham show. I think it starts off with Luger effectively dominating, as you mentioned, Max, but Windham selling is what makes Luger look fantastic. Yeah. He's bumping all over. I mean, you bear in mind how big this chap is. Barry Windham's what? I mean, the top end of 200 pounds. He's pushing 300 pounds.
Well, they say on the commentary he's 6'5", 258, which is huge. Yeah.
I thought there was a big period in his career, maybe after this then, where he was around 280, 285. But yeah, he's a big fella.
In the changing attitude era that we're in now, he's the stalker, and he's definitely put on a bit of timber. There's plenty of kind of snow on the veranda, I suppose, with him. But yeah, he does at this period in this match. He was never the kind of wrestler that looked like they were chiseled out of granite. He's kind of totally the opposite. He's got very much like a standard manly body. But he did look muscly rather than the kind of like later part of his career where he put a little bit of weight on.
Yeah. But, I mean, he's bumping all over the place, and at one stage, Lex Luger actually lifts Windham above his head in a gorilla press. That was really impressive. And like you said, the story being told as well with the hand injury, and there's so much fitted into just this 10-minute period. It's almost like this could have easily gone half an hour, and captivated me for that long. I think Windham's performance was that good.
Mhm.
Luger is Luger. He looks the part. He looks great. When he's motivated, you can see a bit out of him, but he's still not on the same level as a guy like a Windham, or even a guy like an Arn Anderson or Bobby Eaton, who are the similar sort of ilk to a Barry Windham, I guess, that great worker from the late 80s NWA kind of time period. Now, Luger here, I think this is the peak of his career in ring, this kind of time, because of the guys he's got around with him.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of what led to him going to WWE. I think Vince and his cohorts looked at this guy, looked at the body, and thought, we can do something with this fella. So this sort of time period, 90 and 91, it was a good advert for Lex, I think.
Yeah, the issue is though he was being carried in these matches.
Yes.
When he came up to the WWF, he didn't have the kind of chemistry with the talent that he was working with up there, and it quickly kind of, he got found out to be not the wrestler that this portrayed him as. So yeah, I think it would have probably been more beneficial to him to not go to WWF, but that's the choices you make. He made the best of it, ended up being multi-time world champion anyway. Certainly had a long career. He's done what any wrestling fan would do, made the best of the limited kind of skill set that he had.
Yeah, and I think this really does show how talented the roster was in the NWA at this time frame, going into the WCW time. You know, they lose Flair in, what was it, 91, don't they? And you ended up with Luger kind of shoved into the main event picture at that stage. And you can't say it was too early. He'd been around for a long time by this point. But Luger and Windham, I guess, in and out the Horsemen, part of the Horsemen leaving, feuding with the Horsemen and so on. It's brilliant storytelling. And to me, this is pro wrestling to me. These are guys that look like they would beat the shit out of you in a real fight. The likes of Windham and Anderson and so on. And in the ring, they can carry their lesser talented opponents to really believable contests. And it is, again, I'll come back to that, the B word there. It's believable. I believed this was a scrap. Yeah, you know, this 10 minutes, it looked like a fight. And that's kind of what I'm all about with pro wrestling, Mags.
Yep, I agree with you. I've never been a massive Luger fan, but this certainly made me think that he was legitimate, that he could hang with the best of them. Getting on to the finish, I thought that was a really interesting way to finish. Essentially, Windham pins himself with the way he does the belly to back suplex. Luger rolls his shoulder. Windham doesn't kind of pull his shoulders off the ground, and Luger essentially steals the title, and then Windham beats the living piss out of him afterwards. Brilliant.
Gives him a power driver and all sorts. Yeah. I mean, it was, the finish. The finish was obviously there to continue the story between them. It was to continue because they had been tag partners and then parted ways and so on. So that's kind of the story that built up to this. Again, I think there was supposed to be maybe a bit more time allocated to that. And this is just my opinion. I don't know. I've not researched this. I've not looked into this. But the feel of the match, how quick it was, and the general gist of the situation, the no entrances there, the beat down after the match was so quick. And you're building towards the sort of matches that had a lot of time on the pay-per-view after this contest. It feels like they were cutting time somewhere, and this was going to carry on in later events. So I suppose from a booking standpoint, this would be the match where you trim a few minutes here and there. But
because you're going to go back to the well anyway.
Yeah, exactly, mate, exactly. And I think it really does. And again, like I say, I keep saying tongue in cheek about Luger. It's not about Luger. This is an advert for how freaking brilliant Barry Windham was, and if you've not checked out Barry Windham matches, yes, I talk about him and everyone laughs because it's old wrestling and they call me old for liking it, but trust me, wrestling didn't start in 1997. Go and check out some of this stuff with Barry Windham. He was so good.
Or don't check it out and then just vote for it on the topic, so we have to. We'll do the hard work so you don't have to do it.
Okay, Magsy, out of 10, what are you thinking for this, mate?
Again, I came in this with all intents and purposes of absolutely shitting on it. I was before actually watching the match, I was dead set on giving it a 0 just because I didn't want Luger to ever sully this show again. But I enjoyed the match for what it was. It was a really good match because of Barry Windham. Let's not beat around the bush. That guy, he doesn't get enough love in terms of how he's looked at as a wrestler with the modern fans. But yeah, he was so entertaining, so clever, so used the time wisely. This is a great. If you've got 10 minutes to spare, you couldn't go much wrong than watching this match. So I'm going to give it a 7.
God, mate, do you know what? I'm a massive Barry Windham fan, and you've obviously been very jokingly critical of all the old NWA stuff just to try and wind me up. You're giving it the same as me. You're giving it the same as me, mate. I'm giving it a 7 as well.
There we go.
It would have
scored with that.
It would have scored higher
had it not been Luger.
Had it not been, I was going to say, for 2 reasons. One, had it not been Luger, and if it was a bit longer.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the thing for me.
I know I'm saying yeah, but actually in retrospect, I think 10 minutes was fine. I think if this went 15, 20 minutes, we would have found Luger out a lot more. I think that this was the right amount of time for Windham to be able to carry Luger. And like I said, we were always going to get this revisited. So no, I think 10 minutes was fine. Luger was obviously always going to be the kind of the turd in the punch bowl. But Barry Windham did a good job of masking the smell.
Yeah. Barry Windham was like a kind of air freshener.
He's the Febreze of this match.
Barry Windham, Jim Crockett Promotions Febreze. So a 7 from both of us there. Great stuff. I really enjoyed getting an opportunity to watch this back and talk about it, mate. Mm-hmm. You know, I really enjoyed that. So thank you to everyone who voted for that selection and at least dragged it up to a draw. I hugely appreciate it. Our second winner, loser, drawer, our second match, whichever way you want to call it, was Royal Rumble 1998, Magsy. It was your choice. Why did you plump for this one?
Because I wanted to see the storyline that followed from last week's episode. We covered the Montreal Screwjob, which was kind of like it was a deep topic, a dark topic when we kind of look back on how Shawn Michaels had essentially tried to screw Bret Hart, how Bret Hart hadn't played ball enough. We kind of like really critiqued it, and I wanted to see how that transition went on because for all Shawn Michaels kind of politicking and wanted to be the big star, his time at the top didn't really last that long because there was a big star waiting in the wings for when Shawn Michaels eventually did pass the torch on, and that guy was Stone Cold Steve Austin. Already won a Royal Rumble and through booking didn't get the title match at WrestleMania, but this was the build up to essentially what will become the biggest star in wrestling for a long time, arguably still the biggest star in wrestling with Stone Cold Steve Austin, and this was, for me, it was getting into that peak of Stone Cold. We're getting the tinges of his issues with Vince McMahon. We're going to get onto his essentially his first run as champion, and the crowd were just white hot for this star. So I wanted to kind of like see the follow on from what happened after the Montreal Screwjob.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. The first thing I noticed when I put this pay-per-view on, ready to watch the Rumble match back, well, first of all, I didn't realise that the Rumble didn't close the show. I don't know why, but in my mind, I always thought the Rumble closed the show. I don't know why that was, just obviously remembering it wrong. So I was surprised when I saw it was halfway through the pay-per-view.
It's actually very rare that the Rumble is the last match on. I think that's more of a recent thing now to kind of like give the winner more props. But yeah, it was mainly if the title was always kind of like the big thing.
Which it should be, shouldn't it? It should be.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, definitely. The second thing I noticed was how many, well, first of all, signs in the crowd in general, just signs everywhere. And then Austin shirts. just so many Austin shirts everywhere as well. It shows how popular the guy was already at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we've been covering it again, and I'm going to keep referring back to Changing Attitude. We've been covering how we essentially started at Austin at King of the Ring 1996, and it's always been. And I spoke to Scottish Danny about this at the weekend. It's always been kind of like the rhetoric or the story that Austin won that King of the Ring and suddenly was a made man. Suddenly he was the biggest thing. The build,
it's not quite right, is it?
No, the build is. I mean, we're now into Survivor Series 1996 on the show, and that's 6 months away from his win at the King of the Ring, and he's only just kind of getting that real momentum behind him. He's got his match against Bret Hart, but it's actually another year or so before we actually start really seeing the proper Stone Cold Steve Austin and the huge star that he'd become. And it's really this Royal Rumble that sets him onto that huge path to becoming the massive star.
It's funny how your mind kind of rewrites things, isn't it, for yourself, and how.
And I don't think it's just your mind. I think that's the storyline that's always been pushed by WWF. Whenever you see,
they like to rewrite things, don't they?
Yeah, whenever you see kind of documentaries about Stone Cold, it's always he gave this promo. It was unscripted. Everybody was shocked. Vince was fuming about it. Went to Raw the next day. Austin 316 stands everywhere. T-shirts sold. Austin was a big star, and it wasn't like that. There was very little kind of build of Austin 316 until going into Survivor Series 1996.
Yeah, it's crazy, really. But then I suppose you look at the things that WWE have rewritten in the past. You know, Andre the Giant had never been body slammed until WrestleMania 3, for example. Yeah. Women's wrestling did not exist until Stephanie McMahon invented it. You know, they've changed. They rewrote a lot of things in the past, haven't they? So, we start the Rumble with Cactus Jack and Terry Funk. I got a kick out of this. Big fan of Terry Funk. You know, absolutely superb. Yeah, Chainsaw Charlie, an odd gimmick, let's be honest, but it's still Terry Funk.
I mean, before we get there, I want to give a little bit of a kind of a backstory, I suppose, to why Stone Cold was. Because we'll get there. Stone Cold was basically a target.
Yes.
So he'd won the previous Royal Rumble. And like I said, due to booking and things like that, he didn't get his title match. But leading into this Royal Rumble, he essentially made himself public enemy number one, saying that he was going to win this Royal Rumble. He was going to get his WrestleMania moment. And the Raw before the Rumble, pretty much everyone who was in the Rumble was in the ring, and Austin just came in, absolutely just destroyed everybody, essentially making everybody hate him. When he arrives at the arena, everybody's looking for him. I think you see the Godwins are looking for him.
The Nation as well, isn't it?
Yeah. He's had issues with the Nation anyway, because it's in the run up to this where he throws the Intercontinental title into the river.
They love that, don't they? Throwing stuff in rivers.
In that one particular river, I think it's had about 3 or 4 titles thrown.
Kurt Angle's belts as well. Edge medals. And Cena threw each other into a river, I think, didn't they?
Yep. They've had a wrestling match that the finish was on the side of the river. So yeah, they do like these rivers. But essentially, Austin has made himself public enemy number one, which means when he comes into the ring, everybody wants to get him out. But let's go. It's a while before we get there, so let's go back to the beginning.
Yeah, no worries. We start off with Cactus Jack and Terry Funk. The Chainsaw Charlie gimmick. I appreciate why it happened, why Funk wanted to do it, and so on. But I still look at it and just say it's Terry Funk. But something that I noticed about this for the first time, he comes in carrying the chainsaw, obviously, spinning it around. You can hear it going. It hits a chair and sparks fly off. And that's literally for the first time ever. But I know I've seen this Rumble plenty of times before. I thought, holy crap, that's actually running.
Why did you think it wasn't?
I don't know. I just assumed that was the sound effects getting piped in.
And he was just holding a chainsaw that wasn't working. You can see the chain spinning.
Well, I can't. My eyes aren't that good, mate. You know, perhaps I don't know. Perhaps I need a better telly or something. I don't know, but or glasses maybe. But I just look. I looked at the sparks flying off it. I was like, whoa! I didn't think it was like actually running at these certain occasions.
Well, the more you know, I suppose. But it is a kind of a good kind of throwback to the classics that these two have had between them. I mean, I think Mick Foley and Terry Funk, their careers are always going to be linked through the matches they had. So this was kind of like a TV 14 nod towards some of the death matches that they've had.
Yeah, that's fair enough. And also, Terry Funk, very prominent in the NWA in 1989. Just saying, kids, go check it out.
And also takes a chair shot like I want to say champ, but more nowadays with what we know about CTE, like a fucking idiot. The way
those chair shots,
they were asking for it, and the one that Terry takes when you can see him tensing his neck and his shoulders. That just would send shockwaves all the way down your body, irreparable damage, and he's in the state that he's in health wise. A lot of it has got to do with stuff like this. So yeah, if you're an aspiring wrestler, avoid those headshot chair shots like the plague.
Yeah, I mean, Terry Funk, obviously, he's an old man now, and he's been wrestling for a very, very long time. But he's not in the greatest of ways. And like I said, Max, those chair shots have got to contribute to it because he had so many for his career. Not good viewing at all. I obviously there's 30 entrants in a Rumble. We're sort of covering 2 matches and so on tonight. I don't want to run through every entrant. I thought we'd just sort of pick out a few highlights and lowlights potentially, Max. The first big highlight for me, other than Terry Funk, was The Rock. Came in at number 4, which I thought was crazy early, considering we know how this match goes.
Yeah, and WWE or WWF at the time tend to throw these kind of newer stars or like big stars who are going to last in a long while in the Rumble pretty early, just so you get a wrestler who's like the Iron Man, I suppose.
Yeah, you always get an Iron Man tag to one of them, don't you?
And I think Rock in this one was the Iron Man. I think he did like 50 minutes, which is phenomenal, just considering just how young of a wrestler he was. I mean, we've literally just watched his debut. He's 18 months into his wrestling career, and you can already tell they've strapped a rocket to him, that he's primed to be a huge star. So yeah, he puts in a shift. He really does put in a shift. Yeah,
definitely. We get one of the Godwins, I think it was Phineas, coming in, and we get the great line from Jim Ross saying, "Living proof of what happens when first cousins marry." Brilliant.
I absolutely chuckled at that one.
Whoa. And something about the commentary as well. We've seen a lot of Jerry Lawler, I guess, for matches that we've had on here. I've talked about a lot of Jerry Lawler on my other podcast, SJP, when I've been looking back at 2000 WWE with David Eaton. This here, I think, was really, really good. Because normally I spend my time going, oh, Lawler's this, Lawler's that, looking at it in 2021 eyes. But here, Lawler, I thought, was brilliant. He was sharp, he was funny, he was quick.
And he was also playing the kind of like informer to what was happening with Austin as well. Saying that he's got information on that Austin's been attacked backstage, and that the rest of the wrestlers have got to him, that he's there's a spot where a wrestler doesn't come out. I think it's actually Skull who was meant to come out, and he says, "Oh, that was meant to be Austin's number and stuff like that." Yeah. So I think Lawler, for all the grief that we give him for being a perv and a potential nonce, he does hold. He's allegedly. He is the glue to this commentary.
Yeah, he's great, and I think Jim Ross as well plays well off Lawler when he's in that kind of mood. You see a great deal, I suppose, better Jim Ross when he's with someone a bit, shall we say, spicy, for want of a better term. When he's done commentary with Paul Heyman, for example, back in WCW, and then during the whole Invasion storyline years after this, I think you get a good JR because he's playing alongside someone who kind of winds him up a little bit, maybe.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. He's very good at being the straight man to an antagonist, I suppose.
Yeah. As the match goes on, we lose Cactus Jack around entrance number 7 or 8.
But do we?
And we have Black Jack Bradshaw come to the ring. That was a look, wasn't it?
No, it was horrible.
Yeah. When were the Blackjacks? That was late 70s. They were in their prime, wasn't it? Late 70s, very early 80s. I think they wrestled on the first Starrcade, did they? He's
part of the new Blackjacks, or he was part of the new Blackjacks. So trying to bring back an old gimmick. He's a big Texans lad, so it made sense. But I think his peak was always like the JBL character.
Yeah, totally. Which is funny because when that JBL character debuted, I never thought of him playing someone that way. JBL or Bradshaw, in the APA, I thought was going to be his peak. Yeah. And then he went solo as the same character from the APA, and it didn't quite work, did it? It didn't quite. They wanted to push him up the card, but he never quite made it in that babyface Texan role.
He had a little run as like the hardcore champion, and then he got his own kind of like Texas hardcore belt. But him having Farouk as a foil and then losing that kind of exposed him to maybe not having the charisma as Bradshaw. But then when he came out in a suit and wearing the Stetson, I think he found a gimmick that he felt really comfortable with, and it worked. For you can, as much as he could draw heat, I think that was his best gimmick, and I think he did really well to carry SmackDown as champion for the time that he did.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's kind of underrated, really, what he did. That SmackDown roster was weak, wasn't it? Let's be honest. Barring the likes of Guerrero, it weren't the great SmackDown roster after the first draft. It kind of dropped off a little bit. I remember the pay-per-views that were SmackDown only being, you could just take him or leave him, really. And you say about him being good in that role, it was a loudmouth Texan who was obnoxious and just kind of rude and a bit of a dickhead. To me, that is just what Bradshaw is in real life. So I suppose that's probably why he finds it so easy. But anyway, we digress, Max. We digress. After Bradshaw, we get Steve Blackman coming out, and this is where I get a bit of an issue sometimes with certain people in Royal Rumbles or certain moments. Blackman, he has the opportunity to eliminate Terry Funk. He's staring straight at Terry Funk, whilst Terry Funk is hanging from the top rope on the outside, almost in a skin the cat position, for want of a better term. But Terry Funk's not going to skin the cat,
which he does a couple of times.
And Blackman just kind of looks at him and walks off.
Yeah. There's another point where 8 Ball does pretty much the same. I think he's, I want to say it's D'Lo Brown. D'Lo Brown's kind of like hanging by the ropes, and instead of throwing him over, 8 Ball avoids him like the plague. Like he even went to the point where D'Lo was attacking him. He was walking away from D'Lo Brown, he didn't want no part of that. But you get, when you've got 8 to 10 people in the ring, you're always going to have kind of miscommunication and stuff like that. So I kind of let it go for stuff like that, because a Royal Rumble is never going to be a technical masterpiece. It's filled with punch, kick, clotheslines. That's essentially what a Royal Rumble is there to do. The thing that makes this Royal Rumble particularly interesting is kind of all like the interweaved storylines and the interweaved kind of like rivalries we get. For example, Owen Hart comes out. He's attacked by Jeff Jarrett and the NWA, or Jeff Jarrett representing the NWA. And then once he does get in the ring and he ends up eliminating Jarrett, he's also got an issue with DX, which is interesting. There's a lot of kind of like underlying storylines that make this an interesting Royal Rumble for me. Then you've got all of the kind of faction of Nation of Domination coming in, and it's every man for themselves in a Royal Rumble. So Farouk, the leader of the faction, attacks his own people because he wants to win the title as much as anyone else.
You got some. It's funny you mentioned about like members of the Nation fighting amongst themselves. There was a big spell, sort of, I suppose, just before halfway, potentially, where it kind of really feels like the match is in a bit of a lull. There's not a lot going on. And the crowd reflect this for me watching it back, because they are dead. There's nothing going on from the crowd either. But they kind of pop a little bit for The Rock and D'Lo and other members of the nation fighting amongst themselves. The crowd kind of really got into that, didn't they?
They absolutely did, and you can tell that the push was always going to be The Rock.
Yes.
I think we're a few months removed from him kind of like taking over the nation and attacking Farouk, but you can always see those like moments of dissension when him and D'Lo are both in the ring. I think they're the first two members in. It's The Rock that throws the first punch. When Farouk comes in and he starts laying into the rest of the nation, it's The Rock that farts him back the most. I really like enjoy those kind of like little snippets of what's to come from faction wars like this.
Yeah, fair enough. At 16, we get Mankind coming to the ring. Obviously, a Mick Foley character. Good to see Mick Foley involved in the Rumble that year. He starts fighting with Terry Funk, whose trousers fall down.
It's absolutely brilliant because he's wearing suspenders to keep his pants up to fit in with the Chainsaw Charlie gimmick. But Jesus Christ, those suspenders were struggling. Yeah, and essentially he had his boxer shorts out. But it was fun, and it's daft to look back on it. But at the time, it was a cool moment having Mick Foley come in all of his iterations of characters. I thought that was very, very unique for this Royal Rumble.
Yeah, definitely. I've got a note after that then, Magsy, that I mean it basically shows how much I'd forgotten about what was going on in this time frame, other than the whole Austin story and build. My note simply says fucking Honky Tonk Man in 1998 with loads of question marks. I thought, do you remember in 2001 when Honky Tonk Man came back in the Rumble then, and it was a surprise, and he ended up getting levered by Kane with the guitar? And I know Dan Griffin's going to go mad in the chat now because he's a big Kane mark and so on. It was a fantastic moment. I loved it. But that was a surprise, and it was cool seeing Honky Tonk Man, and he sang his song, and he referred to Kane as big fella and all this sort of stuff. That I enjoyed. Honky Tonk Man in 98, when his music hit, at first I thought, I was like, is this Road Dogg? Is this Jeff Jarrett? Who's this? And then Honky Tonk Man came out, and I was like, I don't remember this at all.
No, you're right, and I didn't remember Honky Tonk being in it. I did like Jerry Lawler's comment when Honky Tonk was in the ring. He says, "Oh, that's my cousin, the Honky Tonk." I mean, it's the Honky Tonk Man, and I think this is not far removed from the period where Honky Tonk was looking for his protege, and it was the battle between the Roader, Jesse James and Billy Gunn, and they ended up essentially forming a tag team. And I think Honky just kind of like stuck around for a little while. But yeah, it was a massive throwback to like the mid 80s scene. And he again kind of like Barry Windham, he'd also kind of put a lot of timber on as well. Wasn't in the best of looks.
No, it was. We have Kurgan arrive. He's an odd looking fellow, isn't he? Let's be honest.
Movie star Kurgan. He was in the Sherlock Holmes film.
He's a very odd looking dude. He's got this big neck and these big shoulders and this really odd shaped head, and he's got these teeny weeny little legs
and a very deep voice.
Oh, has he?
I think he's actually French as well. So it's
okay. God, that's not good. We should move on from that before we get in trouble. We get Mark Miro coming out as well, the former Johnny B. Bad, and with Sable.
Which is interesting that Miro comes out at this time when Tom Brandy came out at number 3, and they were having a storyline at the time. Normally in the Rumble,
tell you what,
you get like the crossovers. But yeah, they dumped Tom Brandy out pretty much straight away, and then Mark Miro comes in later on, which makes no sense.
I'll tell you what, you mentioned in Tom Brandy there, that shows how much I remember about that guy. When he came out, my first thought was, who the hell is this?
It's Salvatore Sensei.
Right. When he was eliminated, I was like, I still don't know who that is. I must look it up for the show. I didn't. I then completely forgot the guy existed until you literally just said then about him now.
Wow. This was his biggest ever wrestling storyline as well.
What, 30 seconds in the Rumble getting stuck between Cactus Jack and Terry Funk?
Yeah, I mean, that's the highlight of his career. But no, his storyline that was happening at the time was Miro was being a dick to Sable, making her wear like potato sacks and stuff like that.
And he was trying to stand up for and point out Miro was being a dick.
Yeah, well, he did it as his Salvatore Sensei character. And then he was basically ripped into by Miro saying, you're not even Italian. Your name's Tom Brandy. You're from like Brooklyn or whatever. So he got this whole career, this whole like kind of gimmick change, wearing the leather underpants and the Italy flag. Had a couple of weeks of a storyline and then essentially became a jobber again. But this was the peak of his career, and you're like, who the fuck is he?
That's exactly what I said when he came out. That's exactly what I said. And again, I thought I'd got to Google that guy to make a note just in case he comes up on the show. And I completely forgot he existed again for the second time in the course of my life until right this moment now.
Poor Tom Brandy.
I apologise to, what was his name? No, I'm joking. He doesn't listen anyway. He doesn't listen. Shamrock comes out. Gets a good reaction there, doesn't he, Ken Shamrock? I mean, it's that guy's fantastic, isn't he?
Yeah, and I was thinking whilst watching this, if you always have a conversation about who was the best wrestler to never win the title, and then you're looking at never to win the big title, should I say? You're looking at like Scott Hall, Mr. Perfect, blah 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 blah. I think the WWF missed a trick not putting the world title on Ken Shamrock.
Yeah, I agree.
Because he was massive. He was a huge star. And he had that kind of crossover appeal coming from the original days of the UFC. He could work. He could work a really, really good match. He could have been a legitimate world champion. And it's a shame he never reached that level, but he looked brilliant. I think he'd been in a match earlier in the day with The Rock.
For the IC title, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, where he essentially won the match, but then Shamrock does what Shamrock does and kind of like over eggs the pudding and got himself disqualified. But yeah, Shamrock was brilliant.
I think there was at one point there was timing issues, wasn't there? Because he wanted to go back and fight in MMA again at some point, didn't he?
Yeah, and it was always meant to be a short-term deal, I think, with Shamrock. But he ended up sticking around in wrestling. He ended up going back to MMA and wrestling, back to MMA and wrestling. I think he had a bit of time in Impact, a bit of time in Japan. But yeah, I think I would have just liked to have seen him with the world title, even if for a short run. I think it would have been brilliant for him.
That beautiful winged eagle belt as well at that time, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, so good.
Yeah, definitely. At some point around this time as well, Kurgan gets eliminated when quite a few people.
It's Shamrock that basically sets that off. He attacks Kurgan, gets him to the ropes, and then everyone does what generally happens in a rumble. The big guy, they all team up to dump him out. He's not happy about it, but
Is what it is, mate. Can't argue it, mate. Can't argue with it. The camera caught both of your teeny, skinny little legs touching the floor, and that's how you get eliminated. Owen Hart, as you mentioned, Magsy, he arrives and DX attack him with a crutch and get him eliminated. Number 22 is obviously nobody, but supposed to be. Did you say it was Skull? It was supposed to be.
Yeah, the commentary make out that this was meant to be Austin's number because they flashed the lights and things like that. But it was actually meant to be the other part of DOA Skull, who'd been attacked by Los Barriquas earlier in the show because they thought it was Austin. So yeah, that was obviously there to add a little bit of confusion whether Austin was going to make it to the match or not.
Yeah, and then of course he does.
Well,
the whole purpose of the match and the whole purpose of the Rumble itself, I guess.
Yeah. Before we get there, though, we see I think it's Ahmed and Phineas getting eliminated, but Phineas lands on the referee.
Oh yeah.
And poor Jack Dawn, he actually had a concussion from that.
Did he really?
From taking the full weight of Phineas Godwin on him. Yeah.
Well, them country boys, big hefty lumps, aren't they?
Yeah. Well,
landing on your noggin.
I think this is the time where they were kind of coming away from the happy-go-lucky kind of inbred idiots to kind of pushing for the turning to Southern Justice, the Jeff Jarrett kind of backup stable.
Yeah, but still, big lump on your head.
300 pounds on your head, definitely.
Yeah, exactly. Austin's music hits, and everyone, as you can see in the picture behind us here, actually brilliantly edited by Magsy as well. And I didn't notice this at first, but Barry's in there. Look,
he is.
That's a great thing. That is. I love that, Mags. But everyone kind of stops and waits, thinking we're going to get Austin. We're going to, there's a bullet on his chest, so to speak, a target on his chest. We're gonna get Austin. And he jumps them from behind and beats the crap out of loads of them while still wearing his waistcoat. And it's just absolutely fantastic, isn't it?
It's so good, so well told. I mean, it's hard, I suppose, to be unique in a Royal Rumble with so many wrestlers in there. But Austin comes in with six people left to go. Ends up eliminating the most people in the whole Rumble by a long way. I think he got 7, and the next highest is The Rock and Farouk. I think they both got 3 each. But yeah, he comes in 15 minutes, makes a massive impact, and that then becomes the story of this Rumble. Basically Austin clearing house, fighting off all comers. I mean, Savio Vega comes out a couple of numbers after Austin, brings out his whole faction
his whole group,
to all beat up Austin, and Austin's there fighting everybody off. The energy level picked up, and so did the crowd as well. You mentioned earlier that there's periods in this where it gets a bit dead, which when you're watching an hour-long match and it's all punch, kick, it can be like that. But Austin comes in and the crowd are essentially on the feet for the rest of the show.
But I suppose that comes into the fact that this whole Rumble is just geared around Austin. The whole Rumble is about Austin. So
yeah,
everyone is literally waiting to hear that glass break and Austin come out, aren't they?
Yeah.
We eventually, at some point around this time, Mankind has been eliminated, which is a shame for Mick Foley, obviously. Number 28, Dude Love, comes out, so it's nice to see Mick Foley involved in the Royal Rumble this year. And I mean, I enjoyed that though. The 3 faces of Foley, as it's referred to now, isn't it? It was good little comedy spots, I guess.
I mean, it's not fair that one person got 3 entries, but he also got 3 losses in the Rumble. So it's not good how he had 3 bites at the cherry and was still unable to pull it off. But it's something that was unique, and it's never going to happen again. And it's a cool to look back on like you said, the 3 faces of Foley.
Yeah, definitely. Number 30, Vader. That surprised me a little bit because I was 98.
How are you just glossing over the star that is Chains at 29? Man. How can you gloss over that?
It's like, obviously anything WWE do, in theory, because of the production levels behind it, the money behind it, and so on, should be superior. Just in theory, I'm not saying in ability and entertainment levels, but just in production levels and so on, should be bigger and better than TNA. But watching DOA back on this pay-per-view just made me feel like they were a shitty version of Aces and Eights.
I mean, an earlier version.
Yeah,
so
an earlier. Yeah.
I get your point, though. They weren't good, but this was building into an interesting run for WWE with the factions. I thought that was cool, especially when we get to Survivor Series. Then we get the gang rules Survivor Series. I thought that was unique. I'm a big factions mark anyway.
Yeah, I'm me.
DOA were never my favorite faction, but they were bodies in a time when factions were a big thing.
Weren't is it the Blue Brothers? The two big bold fellas?
They're the Harris twins, aren't they?
Harris twins, yeah, okay. But weren't they the Blue Brothers before that as well? Before DOA?
Jacob and Eli Blue.
Yeah, I think they were the same. Yeah, aren't they like incredibly terrible racists, like full-blown card-carrying Nazis?
Oh, I didn't know that. Jesus Christ!
We'll throw in one of our favourite words over the last few weeks, allegedly, because I might be completely making that up. But it's.
I'm gonna look that up. I'm gonna look that up. But
I thought there was something about them being. I'm not. I think they were Nazis, or they had Nazi tattoos potentially.
If that's true, then they are scumbags, and I'm glad they got eliminated. Then.
Yeah, we don't want any Nazis winning the Royal Rumble.
No, exactly.
And that's the message everyone can take from today's show.
And that's why Ludwig Borger never won the Royal Rumble.
No, we don't want Nazis winning the Royal Rumble. There's a T-shirt in that, I think.
Yeah. So getting back to Vader, he does the world a favor when he dumps out Honky Tonk. Then he has a bit of a battle with Goldust. Chains. Goldust eliminates Vader, which is you would have thought coming in at 30 he would be like the kind of monster that they all have to team up on, but Goldust is able to eliminate him. Chains eliminates Goldust. Austin then eliminates Chains. Farouk knocks Mark Henry off, and then that essentially leaves us to our final four.
Yeah, and we got down to that quick, didn't we? Because when Vader comes in at 30, there must be 9, 10, 11 people in the ring in total.
So when Vader comes in, we've still got Honker, we've still got Thrasher, we've still got Karma, still got Savio Vega, we've still got Austin. And then you've got your final four Chain. So you've got 11 people still in the ring.
That's crazy, isn't it? That's over. That's over a third of the match still in the ring. Yeah. And then, literally in 2 minutes, it's the ring's cleared. It's crazy. Mm-hmm. But yeah, get down to the final four. Who obviously Rock and Austin. Who are the other two, Max?
So we had Rock, Austin, Dude Love, and Farouk.
Right. Okay.
So essentially, we're seeing Farouk trying to throw Dude Love over. We see The Rock throw Dude Love over. Then we've got Farouk and Austin fighting away. Rock, again, kind of like teasing that dissension in the nation, throws Farouk out. Now, I remember, and I remember it vividly, so it must have been edited on the network, that there's a shot of Farouk looking up at the Rock in disgust.
Yeah.
Like, how dare you? But we don't get that shot. We actually get a crowd shot. And then there's a bit where the Rock's looking at him and like basically telling him, go on, hit the bricks, you're out. But it leads to what would be the defining wrestler feud for the next 5 years. When we see the Rock and Austin square off. And this kind of like 30 seconds of brawl is just superb, the way they're just beating the living piss out of each other. But you know, as fans, and I watch it in respect, you know what this is going to build to. This is going to be such a massive feud that carries the company into the next millennium. It's so damn good. Rock attempts to throw... Austin attempts to throw the Rock over. He is able to hang on, sneaks back in the ring. Austin goes for a stunner, which gives Austin the opportunity to throw Rock over. And there we are. We get our winner. Austin wins the Rumble back-to-back. And it's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
You say that. Let's get to our ratings and see if we agree, shall we?
Oh, God.
Go on, then. You want to go first?
I think that this is one of the most fun Royal Rumbles that we've had. It's certainly not the 92 Royal Rumble.
No.
That's a classic, but it's close. For me, this is one of the most entertaining Rumbles. It's the peak of that push for Austin. You've got like the build to WrestleMania with Matt Tyson as well thrown in, and I think Danny mentioned it in the chat earlier. He calls Stone Cold Cold Stone, which is fucking absolutely superb.
What a dick!
I love this Royal Rumble, so I'm going to rate it pretty highly. I'm going to give it an 8.5.
Why? Really?
Absolutely.
Oh my word! Okay, I might upset you now.
Let me hover over this mute button.
It's not the worst Rumble ever. Of course not. 93 is blatantly the worst Rumble. But the whole thing is it's Austin. That's it. To me now, the Rumbles now in later years are brilliant when there's 3 or 4 people who could maybe win it. Even if you kind of know who's going to win it, there's other ideas there as well. I don't think you get this with this. Even when you get down to the last 4, it's like, at the time even, Austin's going to win this. Just the whole thing is about Austin. And because of that, when Austin arrives, fantastic, as we said, brilliant moment, everyone looking the wrong way. And I don't know why, but I get a kick out of him kicking the crap out of people, still with his waistcoat on. I think it just looks badass. The people looking for Austin before the Rumble starts, brilliant. And the exchange with The Rock at the end, brilliant. But rating this match itself from bell to bell, there's a lot of crap in their mind. There is a lot of crap in that Rumble.
But you look at the 92 Royal Rumble, if you're rating that from bell to bell, there's a lot of basic crap in that as well.
Oh, yeah, totally.
It's still an outstanding match and an entertaining match to watch.
Yeah, but to me, it's entertaining because of Flair. And Flair's in it from number 3 till the end. Austin's in this from what, 23, 24 till the end?
I think he comes in at 24.
Yeah, so before that, there's a couple of moments, but that's it. I think the crowd being dead for a lot of it kind of explains how I feel about this as well.
Okay.
Until Austin arrives, I got a kick out of seeing Terry Funk, but until Austin arrives, that's kind of it for me. So from bell to bell, I can't really give this much higher than a 6.
I mean, I'll give it actually an 8.5. I think Mags is right.
Is that how you think I sound? Sit. I don't know if you muted my mic before I gave my rating of a 6.
No, it got through. I was slow with the click, but it got through. I reiterate, I give it an 8.5.
I do not sound like that. An 8.5. What the fuck is that?
I think that's a bang on impression. The people listening on audio won't even realise that I did that impression then.
I think there's just an echo and I'm talking back to myself or something.
It's Millwall Chris all over again.
But there we go then. There we go. We've had jokes from everybody, which was fantastic. We've had a look at Windham Luger, which we both rated a 7, which we enjoyed. We've disagreed a bit on the 1998 Royal Rumble. I'm not saying it was crap, but I don't think it's as good as an 8.5, mate. That's insane. But at the same time, it weren't shite. It was good enough. I enjoyed the Austin stuff in it. Magsy, very much with the volley looming and the clock ticking. Where do you want to go next week?
So this was all about Austin. You're right. This was to build for Austin being the next big challenger and eventually the next world champion. But there's also another person who kind of makes a big impression in this Royal Rumble. And we've mocked it a little bit, but at the time it was new and it was interesting. That's the Three Faces of Foley. It's something that's carried on from this Royal Rumble, and it's still brought up today. Whenever you think about Mick Foley's WWE career, you always think of the 3 major characters he had. So I want to kind of incorporate him and kind of incorporate Stone Cold Steve Austin as well, because he was the big star. So I want to go to Unforgiven. I think it's 1999. Let me just check my notes. Unforgiven 1998, from April 1998, when Austin fought one of the three faces of Fowler. He fought Dude Love. This was when Dude Love became corporate to be one of the challengers for Stone Cold Steve Austin. And they fought for the WWF title. So I want to go to that match. Dude Love versus Stone Cold Steve Austin from Unforgiven 1998.
Okay, good stuff. I'll tell you what, my selection is not far away from that either. I thought we had, and you're going to know straight away where I'm going with this now. Oh, sorry, Scottish Danny in the chat there. So I do a Mags impression. I can't. I can only do like one word or one sound with Mags. My wife. I'm going to see if she's got a knife. That's kind of all I can do, and I don't even think that's very good.
I feel personally attacked.
Oh, fuck off. Anyway, very similar sort of time frame, I guess. We had the Montreal Screwjob, which Magsy, then you said you wanted to look at the Royal Rumble 98, which is kind of where we were going from that. I thought, why not just complete the whole thing and look at when the Austin era begins and look at where Austin faces Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 14. So he wins the right to his title shots at this Royal Rumble. Why not just follow it on and complete that little sort of mini timeline and look at one of my personal favorite wrestlers of all time in Shawn Michaels defending the championship for the last time in a long time against Steve Austin, and I suppose a passing of the torch, I guess, Maxie.
Not a passing that was willing. It was very much
there's a bit of backstage stuff to get into there, isn't there?
So I actually think vote for Sar's pick because I was tempted to actually go with that match. But I thought, have we lingered on this storyline too much? But no, if you are in the same mindset, I absolutely would go with that. So I'm going to change my pick then. I'm going to take away the Dude Love versus Stone Cold match, and to almost guarantee Sar gets his win, I'm going to go with another match from that Unforgiven card. I'm going to go with Luna Vachon versus Sable in an evening gown match.
Are you being serious?
Yeah, I want yours to win, so I'm going to scupper my own pick to help you win.
Think of the integrity of the show whilst you're trying to. What integrity have we got? Okay, so I suppose these are your incredibly different now choices. From Unforgiven 98, we have an evening gown match between Luna Vachon and Sable. Sable, I wouldn't mind watching that if needs be. Or we have the WWF World Title match between Shawn Michaels and Steve Austin at WrestleMania 14. I thought you were going to go for this, so I had a backup.
I was tempted to go for it, and I literally changed maybe a couple of hours before we were ready to record.
Yeah, see, I thought you were gonna go for that, so I had a backup lined up. When you didn't go for it, I was like, sod it, I'm gonna have it. And you know what's gonna happen now, don't you? Everyone's gonna vote for the evening game match just to screw us.
Well, okay, on your head be it. That's fine. That's your prerogative. But it's a 2-minute, 50-second match that's got a shit storyline, and it's got Luna Vachon and Sable. Come on. Let's talk some wrestling. Let's complete this story that we've given over these last couple of weeks and get to the next big star in wrestling. Vote Sar. Hashtag vote Sar.
Mate, we're fucked. We're blatantly watching Luna Vachon in a dress. You know. That's blatantly what's happening.
Don't fuck us over. Don't fuck us over.
We haven't thought this through. Anyway. Yes, again, those are your choices. Luna Vachon, Sable, evening game match, Unforgiven, 1998. Shawn Michaels versus Steve Austin, WrestleMania 14. Dan Griffin in the chat. Mags, that's true, but we don't have to watch it. You do. Oh, for crying out loud. Matt Willis in the chat. I'm gay, and I'll still vote for Luna Vachon over the washed-up Texan. Tanner's not wrestling, is he? We'll have no Shawn Michaels slander here, thank you.
I mean, Austin's Texan as well, so he's essentially slandering both.
Yeah, sorry, Matt. Sorry, Tanner. We better go. You can find the poll sort of midweek-ish after the podcast audio version that comes out. The poll is always on Twitter at @chain_wrestling, but you can find us all over the place. But before we get to that, Magsy, where can people find you?
So you can follow me down here at Podfather Mags. I am all over the airwaves in terms of content. I've got I'm part of a changing attitude. I'm heavily involved with the a lot of projects here on Radio Techers, UFC, wrestling, anything that you think of, I'm involved.
Yeah, and it's some brilliant stuff. Changing attitude, I love, man. It's absolutely fantastic.
I appreciate
I love the sort of following the whole timeline through, seeing how things develop, and so it's great. It's awesome.
Yeah, and definitely check out the episode in a couple of weeks with Scottish Danny doing a running. We had a great time chatting about Survivor Series 1996.
Yeah, looking forward to that, mate. Looking forward to that. You can find me at SJP Words on Twitter, and there's always links to the shows as the SJP Wrestling Pod, which is going to kind of come and go, I think, with the way the timeline works out now, but so keep an eye out for that. The waiting room I do with my good friend Benny, looking back at Quantum Leap, a little Doctor Who project coming up sometime in the future that we've just kind of balanced the format out, and my co-host is in the chat right now. Should I spill the beans? What do you reckon? What do you reckon? No? Keep it to ourselves for a little bit longer?
Go for it. Spill the beans.
Mr. Dan Griffin in the chat is going to be joining me for a few episodes, and we're going to take a look back at some old Doctor Who. So that should be a giggle. That should be a bit of fun.
You pair of nerds.
Oh, 100%, mate. Biggest nerd on the planet. Biggest nerd on the planet. But we're going to have other people on talking as well. Really looking forward to doing it. The format's quite loosely sorted at the moment. It's going to be a little while away, but really looking forward to bringing that to you. But yes, at SJP Words on Twitter. And most importantly, you can find the show at chain_wrestling on that TikTok thingamy bob, Instagram, Facebook, and most importantly, Twitter. I'm off now to go to bloody bed because for some reason my body is like an 80-year-old at the moment and I've got no idea why. Mr. Mags, I will see you, in a few minutes with our good friend Matt Willis for the volley. Everyone hang around.
Stick around. I'll be back in about 5 minutes chastising Matt for his terrible jokes and his lack of football knowledge.
That's it. That's right. So, yes, hang around. Check out the volley following us on the Radio Techers YouTube channel. Subscribe to the channel. Fantastic stuff coming from everybody. Thank you so much again for joining us. And we will leave you now so I can go get 40 winks. Winks with an eye. See you later, Mags.
Bye-bye. And I've not even got the audio ready. That's how unprofessional I am. Bye-bye, folks.
Bye-bye. Out in time.
Just in time. Brilliant. Yep, I've got time now to quickly make up another brew and then jump in with Matt. But yeah, that was fun as always, sir.
Yeah, that was good, man. That
I'll
was
leave
good.
You to it. Go get yourself some rest.
I'm feeling awake. I might try and start editing first, but I'll see how I get on.
Good luck. Yeah. Speak to you soon, mate.
Yeah, cheers, mate. Ta-da. Why can't I download the audio?